Check, check, 1, 2. How's everybody doing? Just getting a few things set up here. Take this down. There we go. Cool. What's up, Alex? How you doing? Let's get this arranged. How's everybody out there doing? Hopefully everyone's good. Enjoying a productive day. It's beautiful out here. It's like extra sunny today. I don't know what it is. It's also warmer. It's gonna hit 80 something today. So it's pretty warm. So I'm looking forward to going for a run a little later. Get outside, get some more fresh air, other than just walking the dog. Sound is working good. Alrighty. Snow is falling. Wow. Behaven 92. Where are you at? What country or state? 'Cause that's it's Chile. Loaded in my views. All right. I think we're good. So last time we did the hair, and I think we're gonna keep going with that a little bit, and then move on to probably some facial details and the glasses. So hopefully we can get the hair to a good point, and then move on from there. Zoom in a little improperly, so to speak, just so we can get a little tighter in on here and see where strands flow to kind of match this pretty well. Hello, Comics Legend. Happy Sunday. I will be working on sunglasses today, I believe. Finally, yeah. I think after we do a little bit more on the hair, move on to the sunglasses finally. Mhm. Just looking at some of the dips in the hair, some of the divots of the surface. Canada. We're in Canada. Alberta. Oh, wow. I always think of Albertosaurus whenever I hear someone say Alberta. I think of the dinosaur that's famous for there. It's like a T-Rex. Exodus, what's up, sir? Yeah, there's all kinds of tools for hair. Making it faster though, that's like it's kind of a relative question. I mean, there's no real fast, not really a fast way to do hair if you want to match a specific look. It's always going to take some sort of grooming or sculpting. And there's always variants. Like if you want to make hair that you will see in visual effects, like hair flowing or in a game where you have individual strands, not just cards even. Either one, cards or like individual strands, that'll take time because you got to groom it. So the fastest way would really be, yeah, like using alphas or insert mesh brushes in some capacity, but I'm not sure. I don't think there's really a faster way to do this, what I'm doing right now, unless you had a bunch of insert tubes that were kind of more like almost triangles, kind of like if you were pulling out very high subdivided tubes that were triangular. You know, if you were looking at them straight on, you know, like a tube that was like that. That would kind of sort of help this, I guess. But I prefer just sculpting it this way rather than trying to instead of trying to do insert meshes or you know you can do fiber mesh too, but again you'd have to make them really thick and then have this many strands. Yeah, it's just it wouldn't be that efficient. So either way, I mean there's time taken for everything, but I think as far as the way I'm going about it, I'm comfortable with it. Put it that way. I prefer doing it this way. All right, so there's a stronger indentation here, and there's kind of a part there, and there's another one in there. All right. So the indentations look just harsh right now, but I'm gonna smooth them out here. Might even do a little bit of clay buildup here. Do that out first. Here's a big challenge. You have to be patient. Yep. Best tools take time, patience. Yeah, I mean it's like you know, Pac-Man. Pac-Man eats 13. Yes, sir. Let's go. Yeah, man. I mean, The Matrix is come on. It's like iconic, classic. Um, And we passed the anniversary just at the end of March. That was its original release date. Some 22 years ago now. Right? 1999. I don't know, man. I'm still like an old man when it comes to like, back in my day we had the best music and the best movies, and you kids don't know shit about today. You don't know about the quality we had. Yeah, I just it just feels like everything's you know, being recycled today. There's so few original things being made. Everything's a sequel or remake, or you don't see new IP just coming out and being like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." It's not much, really not much. Here and there, but then again, it's like it's stuff that it's arguable that The Matrix never should have had a sequel made if it was going to be as weird as I don't know. The sequels were fun, but they just weren't nearly as well developed, intellectually, and just rushed. It just felt rushed, really, in the end. And I would have been happy to have waited this long for a great sequel if that meant this next one would be as good as the first one, And I think a lot of people say, well, it's impossible to capture lightning in a bottle twice. I disagree. I think it just takes time, and you shouldn't have people rushing you and pushing you and being like, we need the next one now because of money. Like, it's like, I get it, I mean, like, everyone gets it. Like, oh my God, money, let's do it again. And yeah, it's a fun universe, but it's like, make it make sense. Like, have it all make sense, and have the same care and love given to it as the first one did. Like, I'm just a firm believer in, like, things take a little longer to make, but the quality's insane. I would prefer that over just wanting it now. Like, that's it's like a child. It's like, just give it to me now, I don't care. Like, well, it's like anything. It's like stocks. It's like I'm thinking about that because I sold a little bit, probably too much Doge recently, but I'm still putting money back in, of course. But it's like, you buy the dips, you sell in the peaks. Very, very basic stuff. But same idea. It's like if you're too excited and you're too much emotion, too much emotion goes into your efforts of something, and it's not tempered by intelligence and thought and just thinking before you act, just for a minute, thinking before you speak. You're just reactionary, it's almost never great. And it seems that's sort of that way with like the long process of making a movie. It's like once one has success, they're like, oh my God, money, we have to make the next one now. And 9.9 times out of 10, when they do that, it's just garbage. It's just not garbage, you know what I mean, though. It's predictably not that great. It's like they improved on the effects here and there, but story, man, was like, wait, what are you doing? And then, I don't know. It's like Looper. There's this YouTube channel, Looper. They do a lot of movie reviews and analysis videos or whatever. They did a great summation of the last two Matrix films, and it helps them make a lot more sense. But I'm like, it would have been helpful if they would have had that kind of guidance and articulation and how they, explained and how you understood the films from watching them, during your time watching them. I don't know. It's just other little artistic choices. I feel like the second one, it would have ended even better, or at least it would have felt a little bit more like compelling and like, what's gonna happen next, if they would have ended it like cut to credits as Neo's going through the door of light, and then it just, he gets encompassed by white, and then it zooms into a pinhole of light, which is like a star, and then they pull out from the screens where the architect's room is. And they could have either cut it right there, or they could have cut it right when his finger taps the pen and right before all the TVs change. Or like right after that, right at that moment, like right when he taps the pen, everything changes and you see Neo looking around, and then they cut. Or just cut when they pull out of the TV and you see the universe. That would have been so much more compelling, or even just cut once he went through the door, just bam, cut to credits. Everyone would have been like, oh my God, what happens next? And that would have been that ramp up, that crescendo would have been at the peak rather than like, and then we just kind of have this long dialogue with the architect, you know. Anyway, it's just whatever. Everything's 2020 in retrospect. You know, it's like there's so much hype. I just remember when the second trailer dropped. I mean, the first trailer for the second film dropped. I was in the theater for I don't remember what it was. If it was Dreamcatcher, I think Dreamcatcher, Stephen King's adaptation of Dreamcatcher, adaptation of Stephen King's Dreamcatcher. They had the Flight of the Osiris. It was like the pre Animatrix release short. They had that one out behind or in front of Dreamcatcher. But so I don't remember what film it was where I was sitting with friends, and I remember you just hear the music kind of start to swell, and it's a black screen, and then you see one line of code start to come down. And just as the first few bits of code appeared, the theater just erupted with people just screaming and cheering and being like, "Oh my god!" Like just losing their minds. And it was like both awesome and hilarious. And just I'm like, man, I would have that experience has got to be so exciting and fun and gratifying to be one of the people involved in the production, especially one of the actors or the writers, directors, you know, to be in a theater, just to be a fly on the wall, just to go into some theater when you know that trailer is going to release for the first time, and to sit down with a regular audience and have them not know you're there, and then just to hear their just animalistic reaction to just the overwhelming positive energy that just flows out of people when there's something that they love and they're being teased just a little bit. That was awesome. I remember that feeling, and just I was one of the people screaming too. I was like, "Yes! Oh my god! A trailer for The Matrix 2! Holy shit!" It was great. And then the utter disappointment after seeing, not utter disappointment. I was just like, yeah, it's kind of disappointment. It was just like, dang it, it wasn't as good as the first. And there were all these random characters they didn't flesh out well and explain who they are and what their what the rules are. You know what I mean? Like that's the area of storytelling where it goes bad, is when you get dropped into a world and the whole cliche of like world building, they don't do a good job of that, where they just throw you in something and then there's all these random characters with names that you recognize because they're tied to Greek mythology or other mythology, you know, or fiction or whatever, and you don't know how they interplay. You don't know what the roots of why they're named these familiar names, like what's their role in this world, how does that correlate to like Persephone, how does that correlate, why are these two guys like kind of werewolves, like, you know what I mean? Like they don't explain anything, and they just sort of act as if you're just supposed to accept it and get it, and you don't. So you're just like, this is really bad writing. Like this is like a 13-year-old wrote this, like a 12-year-old who thought this was cool. Like, ugh. Oh, it's like you feel embarrassed for them. You know what I mean? Like you have this weird sort of like, I'm embarrassed, but I didn't write it, but I'm still weird and embarrassed. Like this is awkward. That's kind of how that felt. And it's just like, why? You guys, you dropped the ball. Anyway, happens all the time, sadly. And I think it's just because so much gets rushed. So much just gets shoved out the door because of money. They just want more money now. I think better make a, you know, what is that? It's like Miyamoto, the guy who created Mario. He has this great saying that everyone quotes now. It's accurate. You know, if you release a bad game, I forget how it phrases it, but paraphrasing, it's like you release a bad game immediately. You know, I forget how it goes. Basically, saying, yeah, if you rush something to market, it's going to be a bad game, and people are going to be upset. But if you delay a game so that it's great, people will be upset for a short time, but then they'll be happy forever because it's out there forever. Then it's out there and it's enjoyed, because, you know, it's like I'd rather have something delayed than, you know, delayed gratification than just instant gratification, but it's way more disappointing or nothing like what you were hoping for, you know. So anyway, but it's got to be frustrating for like the actors and people involved too, because I mean, so many artists as well, because like the technical work and the artistic work of so many films that are judged as horrible films, they have elements like you take the skin off the bone, the meat off the bone, like so many elements are really well done and extremely a lot of care and attention and blood, sweat, and tears went into it, but it's packaged with something that's garbage. You know what I mean? It's sitting on the skeleton of something that's just horribly done and rushed, and it's such a shame because like people will just rail on the film and they never kind of make that distinction, which is like all this work that people did that were creatives and artists on it were great. It was amazing. that was excellent. But the writing is always what it lays on. That's always its foundation. And if the writing's bad, the film just gets destroyed. So it's a bummer. Because there were some shots too, like certain scenes and sequences that were just awesome. I think it was in Reloaded, right? It was Reloaded where, yeah, where he catches Trinity, and that scene where he's creating such like a vacuum of air behind him when he's flying through the city, and you just see like all the glass of the buildings rippling and then exploding, and like the vacuum of cars and like rubble and just stuff being like sucked behind him. I'm like, that's fucking awesome, dude. Like that's how the Superman and like all these other characters that fly should. That's what it should look like practically. It's just they nailed that. Like no one's ever seen that before. Like we never saw it illustrated so realistically and incredibly. It's freaking awesome. So it's like I see those parts and those vignettes, those moments, those featurettes, and I'm just like, that's awesome. Like these pieces are so good, so cool. And it's just such a shame the writing was poo poo. Anyway, wonder if we're gonna have that kid show up again. Someone was in the chat last stream and he's like, "Dude, would you just shut up and work?" I was like, "Wow, nice, okay." Block. I was like, "Nice attitude, kid. Nice." I wasn't aware you were paying me. Where's my check? I'm sorry. Will you stop sharing your opinion? You can click off the video. It's okay. Shut up and sculpt. Stop talking. Yes, sir. I will do as I am told. What else would you like me to do? Anyway, sorry. I see the chat. Some things popping up in there. I just haven't clicked on it. One sec. And if you're wondering, if you joined a little later and you wonder why it's a pixelated, it's because I zoomed in extra improperly on purpose to get into the hair detail, but the actual resolution's here. And I think the glasses will really tie it together. You know, but I still wanted to make sure that the likeness was spot on as far as where it's at. That's a generic head. So this is the other. This is the for those who've joined later. This is the scan of his head, which is when they did Cyberpunk. They scanned Mr. Reeves's head, and so this is the up-resed version. This is the actual. Here's the actual game res version. So it's concentrated polys, of course, in the face to get a lot of expression, but then when you get around here, it's pretty low poly. So I, subdivided that up, and then used ZProject mostly, even though I have ZWrap, to get it to match pretty well, and then went ahead and did the expressions. So we're getting there. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, what is the chat saying? How dare you share your opinion? Let's see. Sorry, going back up here, scrolling up a bit. Can't wait for Matrix 4. Yeah, I'm very curious about 4 too, for sure. I'm like cautiously optimistic. Also very true. Do you do 2D concepts for the stuff you sculpt? Sometimes. It really depends. Most of the time, not. Only because I see it in my head very clearly, or I'll figure it out, and I have the general idea in my head, and I'll figure it out in 3D. Because a lot of times too, you'll do concept work, and it'll be so impossible or like very loosely possible, So you always wind up adapting things to 3D because that's where it really, you know, rubber hits the road because you're dealing with actual dimensions and relation proportions. So, excuse me. So often I will barely do much in 2D before I just jump in 3D. And ZBrush just makes it really convenient to sculpt, um, quickly and just get your ideas out. Wow, 22 years ago, that makes my stomach hurt. Yeah, right. It's crazy, right? It's because it doesn't feel that long ago. I still remember seeing it in theaters, and I remember a lot of pictures. I mean, not of course I remember the movie, but I mean I remember pictures of like what the seats looked like and the theater entrance and the carpet color and like where the poster was, and it was because it was the end of the 90s. Things were like some things were run down, left over from like late 80s. Um, so interesting. Yeah, I remember a lot of things from the films that I've seen and that I love. I went to the theater. I remember how strong the popcorn smell was walking into the lobby. It's great. um, y'all did have better music. Yeah, we did, right? Thank you. Matrix sequel had some good parts, but overall, I feel like they could have lived without them. Yeah, exactly. It's like they were like almost like cool tech demos that they could have made out of them, but like the storytelling itself was unfortunate. I really do have a question. Is there a settings to adjust? I don't think you mean settings to adjust the sensitivity for your pen inside ZBrush. My pen is too fast when it comes to sculpting. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely settings you can change, of course. I mean, you have your several settings here. Of course, your draw size is one thing. Your Z intensity is another very important setting. And then you want to look at your stroke. I mean, you can modify lazy mouse. You can add lazy mouse. So that's the first thing. It's off on here because there's no point to it for move. But I think in yeah, for regular brushes here, you've got lazy mouse. That'll help. Just create a very slight delay, and it averages out kind of your strokes, so it looks smoother. It gives you a bit more control. That's a nice handy thing, and you can move its step here, lazy step right here. You can move that up or down, and that'll dictate, just how quickly or how frequently or infrequently it does it allows a part of the stroke to be counted, if you know what I mean. There's that. So those are the primary things I think you want to mess with. You got mouse average here, so that's your average input. That's separate from lazy mouse. Lazy mouse just adds a bit more control. So you want to mess with those settings if you're feeling like your brush is too. When you say too fast, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, because it should correlate to only how fast you move your hand. But if you mean like it's too strong, like it's pushing too deep or extracting too much when you're doing additive or subtractive, that comes down to Z depth. So mess around with those settings, mess around with those 4 or 5 settings, and that should allow you to get a more comfortable stroke with your brushes. Yeah, nothing beats the first film. I can rewatch it a lot, but not the sequels. Agreed. Yeah, I'm the same way. I can rewatch The Matrix, Jurassic Park, Interstellar, Back to the Future, almost all the Back to the Future, but really the first one still. Indiana Jones 1 and 3, I love those. Terminator 2, Terminator 1, meh. I mean, meh. Aliens, I prefer Aliens over Alien. Alien, it's fine. Everyone like acts like it's like the Holy Grail. It's fine. I like it too, but if I had to pick between the two, Aliens, the second one, it's just more fun. It's more action. Like the first one, I was I was I didn't see it when it came out, of course, because I was too young. I don't think I was even born when the first one came out, but I still watched it on TV and on VHS after Aliens. And I just remember being so much more excited and just involved in Aliens. And Alien, I eventually watched it and I could grow to appreciate its horror elements, but it's still, I think I watched it after I'd seen Jurassic Park. And so seeing some of the whole weird movements with the alien in the suit and the slow pan and the tight cropping of the face, like, it wasn't that. It was kind of boring to me as a kid and or as a teenager. And now, as an adult, I'm still like I can appreciate it from a basic filmmaking, cinematography, decent storytelling aspect. But I don't know. I think it was like I missed the train, kind of. I still prefer Aliens. I feel like a lot of people who are like, you know, um, film aficionados and film snobs, they'll be like, oh, Alien is so much more superior than Aliens. Oh God, all the plebs like Aliens. Let the children enjoy their confetti and blood and acid and all that. But the real connoisseurs, we like Alien. Dude, I want to say a lot of inappropriate things. Like, dude, get lost. Like, it's just different opinions, different tastes, right? But like, some people just act so like, oh, Aliens superior to Aliens. Oh my God, how can you like something with a plural? It's like, dude, it's just, ugh, shut up. But anyway, so there's movies I can watch and repeat, yeah, for sure. And a lot of times they're the first ones, but sometimes they're the second. When they improved on the formula, which is that rare case, right? Aliens, in my opinion, James Cameron nailed it with that one, and Terminator 2, he nailed it along with Stan Winston's crew. I mean, they really just killed it with Terminator 2. Um, and they're all in that. I don't know. They just moved into that zone. I know it was like the '90s, man. The '90s had so much good stuff. Um, I don't know, like the Lethal Weapons. I can watch almost any of those over and over. Those are fun. Gladiator. I can watch Gladiator on repeat easy. That's a great one too. Um, it's funny because when you hear Russell Crowe talk about how he and Ridley were working on the script like just on the fly, it does not feel like that kind of movie. A lot of times you hear movies being slapped together on the by the seat of their pants, just coming together every day and like, let's rewrite the script. But that happens on the Mission Impossible movies with Christopher McQuarrie making them, and he's awesome. And him and Tom are doing stuff on the script, I guess, last minute too. And it doesn't feel like that with like the last one. It was amazing. And I think they said they were rewriting things like as the days were going by, like really changing things around. I think the same thing was said for it was Greengrass for his work on, is it Paul Greengrass on The Bourne Ultimatum, another great action movie. And I could watch any of those, but really probably the first and the third, kind of like the same for Indiana Jones with that one. But he was rewriting the script as they were going, and it still felt like it worked. Like it still felt like that was their whole plan. Like this made sense. So it happens where they just write on the fly, but it's almost like either that incredible amount of pressure in a really short amount of time, people good working under pressure, like I work well under pressure, or people have a lot of time to plan something out, which is how I also like to work too. I like to have a lot of time to really just get things set up where they are and then execute perfection, or at least, go for that, really feel comfortable like going for that. But I can do really well under pressure too, so it really depends. But it seems like that's how a lot of filmmakers function, right? They'll get either something gold out of they'll get a diamond out of coal by just all this pressure, or you give them like eons, to like prepare everything, so at least when they are in production they just hit the ground running and things just flow and it's just awesome. But when you have that weird middle ground, which is probably where like some of the sequels, like the Matrix sequels, felt like it just felt like they were just rushed. You know what I mean? So it felt like, well, you have some good ideas, kind of, but then let's put it together and get it out the door. So anyway, um, sorry. Tangents. What are your thoughts on the Avatar sequel? It's basically doing what you were mentioning now. It's taken years for them to work on it. Yeah. Um, I'll get back to that in a minute. Yep, the first one is in the league of its own, that's for sure. Yep, 2002, right? Yeah. Predrag, Pressic 16. I'm not sure what you meant by 2002. I think that's sequel. Is that what you meant for Reloaded? Um, yeah, I like the Animatrix shorts. Or is that for the trailer? Really good ones in there, actually. Love the Neo Noir Trinity Animatrix. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones in the Animatrix. I thought a lot of the shorts were great. I really enjoyed most of them. Hello. Imagine Keanu disgusted sitting in the audience with a huge grin on his face. um, Oh, disguise. Sorry, I thought you said disgusted. I'm like, what has that? Disguise. Sorry, misread. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome to see. I wonder how he would have felt. It would have been great just to hear people freak out with their first trailer. Well, trailer for the first trailer for the second film. Um, okay, so the same question came up again. I got that. Delayed game can be eventually good. A rushed game will be hated forever. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cyberpunk 2077 was an example of a game that could have used more time to be finalized for sure. But that being said, despite the bugs, I love the story and characters. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I still need to get back to it. I haven't gotten much further than maybe a quarter of the way through it, maybe barely a quarter. Um, it was fun, but it just didn't suck me in. So I've got to push myself to get back to it. How are you finding ZBrush 21.6.3? Trim React doesn't work anymore for a few people. Oh, really? Oh, I haven't checked that. It also reminds me, does my okay, now it's a square again because before I was getting a circle in the mask. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably some bugs. That's why I'm always kind of re, resident. Wow, I can't think of the word right now. Um, I'm re, wow, my brain is not functioning right now, but I'm apprehensive to upgrade always because there's always like a little bug or two that gets missed or that's buried in something, and then eventually they find it and squash it. But I'm reticent. There we go. My God, I don't know why my brain is misfiring. Um, but yeah, so 21.6.3 now. Yeah, yeah. It was like kind of quietly released. They just told us for all the streamers. They just told us the other day. With our Slack channel. But yeah, it just came out. So you can just upgrade it. Go to your upgrader in your programs file, and under program files, go to ZBrush, and under ZBrush at the very bottom in the main folder, ZBrush 2021. You'll find the upgrader at the very bottom. Just double tap that, and just follow the instructions. Really simple, painless upgrade. Wow, you seem like a nice guy. Get sent to Ban World. Access, yeah. So cool, man. Looking good so far. Thank you. Yeah, looks amazing. Thank you, thank you. All right, so I got that question. Jeez, man. Is there a way to build hair in ZBrush that won't need retopo? Yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of hair you're looking for. This is meant for 3D print, so this is definitely not going to be retopologized because I already retopologized it to get a nice flow, edge flow for the polygons. Um, Other ways to do hair, I mean, you would export the curves, right? So, I mean, you wouldn't really need to retopologize it. You just export the curves out of ZBrush Fiber Mesh, and then you work on them and groom them in Maya, like in XGen or whatever. So that's the way to do hair, really. It depends what kind of hair you want to do, though. You could do cards, you could just, but that's annoying to do. And in any way you slice it, I don't know of a way that's actually like a fun, easy way to do cards for hair. I mean, you can kind of do it with fiber mesh. You just do like one plane or two planes or whatever, and you just but yeah, it's still kind of painful, and challenging to arrange. You can really do manual with hair cards. It's a long process. It's not a quick thing. What did I think of the animated Matrix? Yeah, the Matrix, love it. Yeah, I already said that. Why'd you separate the head with the body? Oh, because he's gonna be clothed, so there's no need to keep the body uniform at all. Most of like a lot of characters that I've done for films and commercials and everything, it's just we often will separate, because you're never gonna see that area of like the chest, right? Even if you have like something low cut, you have a female character and they have a low cut blouse or shirt, whatever you want to call it, top, you don't necessarily need to keep it all connected to the body. You can often just cut it right below because it's just more polygons to process, and if you have everything connected when it's like they're wearing a coat or a shirt even that has the sleeves rolled up right up to like the forearm, you can delete everything from here all the way up till wherever, you know what I mean, unless it's like so minimal that you could have space to delete, then it was just leave it. But if they have like, or they have a shirt, this long sleeve shirt, and like they're only going to ever have their sleeve just move marginally, at all around their hand. If you're not going to be pointing the camera like straight down, below where it hangs, you could just delete from here to here, whatever. Just like get rid of all that because you don't need it because you'll have a sleeve covering it. So that's what I'm operating with here as it too. It's like there's no reason for me to keep the body connected really. But it was also because I was working with a different head and then this body as well. Um, and yeah, so it was more so about getting the face right, because I know like the rest of it's all going to be in a different pose, and it's so it'll flow fine without having the body connected. Kevin, is there probably there's probably going to be a coat piece added to the end? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, Galaxy Quest. I never really loved Galaxy Quest. I've seen it, but I was never like, oh my god, it's great. People love it. I'm like, it's okay, whatever. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, someone else. Um, okay, he got it finally. Cool. One alien is superior to all of them aliens. As long as you don't like AVP Requiem, we're good. Yeah, exactly. No, I enjoyed them as being like stupid schlock, like B films, but it was also like they're slightly below the Jurassic World films, and I hate to say that because I have a couple friends who worked on the Jurassic World films, and I love their work on those films, and the artistry that's gone into those films is great. But this the writing. I'm sorry to talk down upon Colin and his buddy Derek's writing, but they're too. I just those films, the Jurassic World films, just they don't have the maturity that the first film does. But neither did the Lost World. I mean, it's sort of a little bit, but it just felt there's too much humor and like like even when they censored like the kills, like when Muldoon gets attacked by the raptor, clever girl. At that moment, they censor it with a big palm frond in front of him getting like attacked by the raptor, but you still kind of see some, and then they cut away. But it's like those deaths were well done, or like Mr. Arnold's lost arm. I heard rumors that they had filmed or they were looking to film that sequence, but then thought either they cut it out or they just didn't film in the end because it was too graphic. Because yeah, his arm getting ripped off while he's still alive is a pretty big deal, I guess. But but yeah, just Jurassic Park just still had mature adults speaking intelligently and critically and even marginally intellectually, but it did it in a way that was mature and it felt like it was for adults. You know what I mean? And The Lost World and all the sequels after, 3 was horrible. 3 was terrible. It's like Jurassic World was better than 3, and I guess probably almost on par with like the disappointing quality of Lost World. It's like, and I mean, I knew he hit it out of the park. I knew Colin would make a lot of money off of it. Like it would be successful, and that's what I told him when I was at the premiere in San Francisco. Because you never want to be mean. I'm not a mean-spirited person, but about that. But I mean, it's like it was still disappointing. It was still very disappointing because the family and the kids and just it just didn't really work. You didn't feel that raw intensity and fear for anybody. You knew that like you felt like they were all gonna be okay. Even when the kids are being attacked by the Indominus, like it doesn't feel like they're in danger. Like I feel like I know they're gonna be fine. I wasn't like, but the visceral violence of the T-Rex thrashing the Explorer and just like crushing it, the kids screaming, blood curdling scream. It just felt so much more. You felt so much more for those kids, for those children. You really feared for their lives. While in Jurassic World, it just felt like fake. I don't know how to put it. It just felt like they weren't in any danger ever, and it was just cheesy, like weird brother humor, or brother like being kind of being first a jerk to his younger brother and then being kind to him, and it just felt so hokey. I don't know. It just really didn't work for me. It felt like a sitcom, kind of, sort of like like a weird drama from like from TV. I don't know. It just didn't work. It felt like a CW thing. Kind of. Ugh. I hate to say it, but it just didn't feel like there was that gravity and that like weight and that fear and that danger that just Jurassic Park really had. And even then, Jurassic Park was still like it was very tempered compared to the novel. But I like the changes they made personally because I think the changes were good. Like I like the fact they made Hammond like a sympathetic, loving grandfather and not like a jerk like he is in the book. In the novel, he's a pretty mean guy, and he dies in the novel. Surprise, sorry, spoiler. Um, he dies from compies. The compies have I'm not sure if it's like a venom or more like a bacterial kind of like poisoning. But either way, whether it's in their saliva or if it's something that they kind of release. But anyway, they kind of put you into sort of like a slow, dazed, lethargic state as they just eat you, but you start going numb. Like it's sort of apparently it kills the pain receptors. So they describe, if I remember correctly, they describe them feeling almost like they're drifting off into sleep and just kind of like, easing out. Or like Nedry's death in the book. Whoo-hoo, that's the one people really respond to a lot. If you read in the novel, it describes how he gets attacked by the Dilophosaurus, and it's describing it in the rain at night, and much like what's in the movie, but his actual death is way more graphic, where it describes him. He's blinded by the venom in the eyes, and he's feeling around, and then he's trying to fumble back to the Jeep, and then he feels this burning, searing, hot pain go across his belly, and then he drops to the ground, and he's tripping over something, and then he fumbles around, and then as he still can't see, so Crichton's describing what he's feeling underneath his hands. It's like the rough texture of like the road, or whatever, dirt and soil, and then he feels something warm and squishy, and he pulls it up, and suddenly he realizes he's holding his own intestine. Like, oh god, they've shown that on screen. That's like, and that's where I feel like we almost need just someone wrote this great Medium blog post about it, and he was just like, F it, remake Jurassic Park. It's like, if everyone's doing all this remakes and all this stuff, he's like, if you're gonna redo something, like, at least do it right. Remake Jurassic and make it rated R. And I'm like, I almost feel like you could leave the first film just because I feel like it rides that line of like PG-13 almost R. Like, it really pushed PG-13 to that edge, which I like. I think the first film was great. I like a lot of the changes they made. I would be down to see a remake still if they did it like a hard R and just made it like a mini series like on HBO. You know what I mean? Like, just do a solid 6 hours, or like 7 hours. Do whatever. Just make it like each episode's an hour or 2 hours, and just do the whole novel. Do it really faithfully. And I don't know. Maybe keep some things from the intact from the first film, because certain things were just better. I thought. Like the way that Grant defeats the raptors in the novels with like it's not a forklift, I don't think, but something like that, like an industrial machine. I forget. It's been years since I read it. And he kind of crushes them using the bones. They collapse on the raptors and they like impale them, like the bones of the T-Rex and something on the sauropod. And that just feels kind of hokey. Like, doesn't really feel like that exciting and climactic. The ending of the first film is spectacular. I think Spielberg realized like everyone loves the Rex, and he sort of redeems her by having her come in and save the day at the last minute, even though you don't hear her. She's like super stealthy. She comes in the last time, you don't hear any footsteps, and then just chomp gets the raptors. But it's great. I mean, it works so well, and everyone loves it. And I remember people cheering when I was in the theater and that moment happened. They're like, "Woo!" Everyone screams, just like, "Oh my god!" It was a great moment. That's great storytelling. It's great cinema. It's the kind of like surprise. Oh my god! Because that when you get people into that scenario of like characters, when they're in that moment of, oh my god, I don't know how the hell they're going to get out of this, and you come up with a brilliant solution, like a great solution that everyone will love, but it's not something that you ever really saw coming, like a character that you thought died shows up again. It's really cheesy, but it can also work. The Rex was like, you just didn't see it coming, you just didn't expect it, and I remember all of us were just like thinking, how are they going to get out of this? Like, what in the world? They're done. Like, this is like, what could possibly happen here? They have no weapons, and two really deadly predators right in front of them, and then boom, Rexy shows up and saves the day. It was awesome. So I mean, there's certain things I think the film improved upon compared to the novel, and it makes me just think. I would love to direct the remake of The Lost World. Like, that's sort of like my crazy dream of one of the film brands that I would love to take on and redo, just because I love the original novel so much, and I've read it multiple times, many times, and there's certain sequences that are just so iconic and so exciting, so thrilling, and no one has touched them. I mean, they kind of barely did something, but it just felt cheesy. In Jurassic World, where Chris Pratt's character is on a motorcycle parallel to the raptors, but that's really not what The Lost World had. It was Sarah Harding and the kid, Kelly. I think it was Kelly. The girl was on the back of the motorcycle with a tranquilizer rifle, and they're hunting down this raptor that attacked the hide, where it was on stilts in the it was like an infrastructure, basically, like four like long legs and a floor at the top, and I guess a ladder that went up there somehow, or however they got up, and then below it was a huge cage. You either put an animal in, or you could protect yourself in, almost like a shark cage, kind of. Arby, he's a little black boy in the book. He tags along with Kelly, and they both like sneak along on the trip to the island, and you know, pop out just kind of like Kelly did in the movie. But Arby's like he kind of played off of what was in the movie too. Like Arby was more of a computer genius or computer whiz anyway, like smart with computers, and Kelly was more of his just friend, like smart too, but just his friend. No like special ability really. And so Arby gets knocked out of the hide at one point when raptors are attacking them, and he's smart enough to roll into the cage below and lock himself in. But before he could pull his hand away with the key, because he had to reach around the bars to lock himself into the cage, um, one of the raptors goes for his arm, so he pulls his hand in really quick, and the raptor smashes in, and somehow winds up getting the elastic band that was tied to the key that he used to lock himself in with, get stuck around its lower jaw, and then it yanks it off, and so the key's like dangling off its lower jaw, and then it goes away from the pack and just kind of like is clawing at its face, trying to get the key away from its lower jaw. So once, I forget what happens, that they all disperse, but eventually they disperse. I think it's because they kick the cage with Arby in it. They dislodge it from the structure and start rolling this thing like brutally with the kid inside, like pushing it toward their nest, because they have like this massive raptor nest where like hundreds of raptors are or whatever. So that becomes the mission, is like the kid's still alive. They can't just let him go to his death, or to like starve to death, or be clawed to death from inside the cage. So he's sort of protected, but he's in real danger. So they just sort of, everyone suits up. Like Dr. Thorne is a character they don't even have in the movie version of The Lost World, but he's awesome. He's kind of like, he's kind of an Elon Musk sort of character in some ways. I feel like they describe him as like barrel chested and a big guy, and he can really handle himself, and he's kind of a go getter. He's not afraid of much. And he and another guy, Dr. So and so, not Levine, I think, Dr. Levine, they get in a gas powered Jeep, or is it electric, and they go after the kid, while Sarah Harding and Kelly get on a motorbike to go after the raptor that has the key stuck on it, because they're not going to be able to get Arby out otherwise. So one team goes after the kid, the other team with the kid goes after the raptor, and then there's this whole parallel chase scene that takes off. So it's this action scene that builds up, then you're like, oh my god, the kid gets separated, and then the raptor gets over there, and then you have this new action sequence just take over, and it's just like, it just amps up the adrenaline, and you just both, you have these parallel action sequences going on now, and you're going back and forth, and it just leads up to so many other awesome moments and opportunities and sequences. Like they're driving under moonlight, under silver grass, and their sauropods' tails are cracking above them as they're walking, like driving around. It's just fucking awesome, and it's such a beautiful, artistic mega action sequence. And none of it was used in any of the films. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with all these writer directors? Like, you have gold sitting in front of you that everyone would just lose their minds over, and it's not a technical hurdle at this point, because he did something similar but way dumber in Jurassic World. So like, why wouldn't you just take that whole sequence and insert it into your film if you're working on a Jurassic World film? Like, it's just so obvious. I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, you're making stuff that's weaker, like that's not as impactful. I don't know, I don't get it. So anyway, personal frustration, because the Lost World has so many great sequences like that, and really funny moments too. But like, again, they're more like the Indiana Jones, but even smarter funny moments, where like there's things that are happening that are still intense, but someone's saying something kind of comical, but it's not making fun of the situation. It's because like they're either high on a drug or on a painkiller. Malcolm at one point. It's this intelligent writing. I don't know how else to put it. Like, Crichton's was a smart guy. He was a very intelligent man, and he would plug in witty, mature, adult, meaning just intelligent, mature humor into circumstances that are very serious and very exciting, and that very intense. So that little bit of intelligent humor would actually kind of give you like a little bit of a break. Like, it kind of lets you, you're like, de-stress a little, because you're so in that moment, and that little bit of intelligent humor just adds that little bit of ease. It softens the blow. Smart, intelligent writing. Why do we have more writers like that working in Hollywood? Why do we have such garbage coming out of Hollywood all the time? I don't understand. They need to hire people with higher IQs or some better degrees, like not just people who major in entertainment, but people who come from the sciences, but who happen to be good storytellers. Which I guess that's just really rare because Crichton was an MD, but he just didn't practice because he found writing so much more enjoyable. But it's that level of like high thinking and ramping an audience up to be educated to the subject matter they're talking about, rather than just being like, boom, DNA, and you're like, what's DNA? They explain it to you in an attractive way, so you're being educated while you're being entertained, but it's not in a way that's like shoveling it down your throat. It's just, again, very intelligent storytelling. There's like intelligence to how they're crafting the story, right? And we just don't see that much, and it's just frustrating. Anyway, sorry, I know you guys are probably like, some kids probably in there like, shut up and sculpt already, man, stop talking. I didn't come in here to give your opinions. Trying to decide what is hair and what's a shadow there. Um, do a compromise. Anyway, I'm sorry. I know I'm missing some of the chat too. I'm sure you guys are asking a bunch of other questions. So yeah, Comics Legend asked about Avatar, the sequels. I mean, I don't really know much about them. I know they were actually that Cameron was shooting just like a mile and a half away from here, from where I live, like or 2 miles, just down the road. Really, yeah, like a mile over at Manhattan Beach Studios. And I know for like a while, like a couple years ago, they had boats out off. Apparently, this is what I was told. Some of the boats that were off of the coast here, off of the Manhattan Beach area. It's really just the ocean that's kind of triangulated between Malibu, Santa Monica, and us. Excuse me, out there deep. They were doing shoots. I don't know if they were like letting in seawater or filtering it somehow, or just what they were doing. Like if they had a boat with a large like central area that they could like allow people to submerge in but still contain. I don't know how exactly they use that because I think the water here isn't that clear compared to like Hawaii or you know like the Maldives. But anyway, so I know they're shooting here. I know a lot of things take place underwater in the story, and I love the ocean. I'm a huge fan of just what the ocean is like and the beauty that's in there. But yeah, I can't say I have much of an opinion other than just I'm not sure who asked for Avatar sequels. I mean, I guess the dollar signs again made them say, "Oh, they want more." And Cameron has the money to just, he's got the FU money. He can just do whatever he wants. So I guess we'll see what they're like. I didn't really love. I mean, I enjoyed, I guess, rudimentally in a rudimentary kind of way. I enjoyed the first film, but I was like, I was the first one to make jokes about it too, be like Avatard. I'm just like, "Meh." It's just Fern Gully mixed with Dancing with Wolves on an alien planet, like predictable, really cliche. Again, a great tech demo, like phenomenal CG, but it still looks like CG, and a lot of it. And why blue aliens with cattails? Like it just feels like a weird like furry thing, kind of like I'm like don't like it, don't get it, not interested. Like cat people, I'm like, why make them like humanoid anyway? Like why not make them much more different? Like I mean, I guess because they want to have the human consciousness transfer into the bodies or whatever, and that's the whole point of the thing, Avatar. Yeah, but I never really got into it. I'm more interested in humans combating or competing with things that are less humanoid, or engaging with things that are not as human. I find that far more fascinating. Like if people can communicate with animals, communicate well with like a dog or a dolphin. I find that more interesting. Which I'm sure people will be like, well, then why didn't you like Jurassic World with Chris and Blue? Because it wasn't that. I mean, that communication between animals or animals understanding you can be cool for sure, and I like it when it's well done. Even moments of Congo, while they were cheesy at points, another Crichton adaptation movie, there's some pretty cool moments in that too, where it's like the idea of being able to communicate with an animal and have it be able to talk back to you like gorillas do with sign language, like Coco, the gorilla, and her kitten and all that. Like that's fascinating and really interesting. Um, yeah, but the whole thing with Blue, it just I don't know, just didn't work with me. There's things about the design, like they put too many teeth in her mouth, like way too many, like crammed them in there, and it just looks ridiculous. Um, and the design, they made her head way more blocky, and it doesn't have like the nice smooth flow and elegant lines and shapes that the original Raptors did. So I mean, there's a lot of things I'm just critical of, but I think that there's valid points to those criticisms because they're gauged. quantifiable evidence, so to speak. But it's personal preference. But I think the storytelling was meh. So anyway, Avatar, meh. Not that excited. Curious, but like I'm sure I'll go check it out. But I'm going in with the expectation that it's going to be a glorified, um, tech demo, basically. Just like, look at what we can do. That's great. Who cares? What's the story like? It's in the end, it's always about that. You can have amazing visuals, but who cares? We've seen a lot of that stuff before, and it's not just that we've seen it before. Like even Jurassic Park, it still had a compelling, exciting story, even though it's simple. The film, it was still visceral and exciting and engaging and new, and it educated the audience. It told us about DNA. It told us about cloning and like basics of it that got us more interested in real science, right? Avatar, it's just total sci-fi and ridiculous sci-fi where a lot of things don't make sense, and they use the actual word unobtainium for the MacGuffin of the story. Like what? Like anyone in the industry knows that. Like knows that's terrible writing. Like God, that's horrible. Like again, embarrassing, cringy, bad. Um, ugh. So I don't know. I just don't have a lot of respect for that whole brand. Um, Again, beautiful visuals, sure, but like combine that with like the peanut butter and the chocolate. You know what I mean? The mint and the chocolate. Like, don't just give us chocolate. Like, give us both, right? Give us great writing, amazing storytelling with mind-blowing visuals and a great soundtrack, and suddenly you have a great movie. Then that's a great experience. But you just have one of those elements. It's like one leg of a chair. Like, what can I do with this? Can sit on a monopod, kind of, if I can keep my balance. But it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's it's uh, it's missing a lot. So I really don't have high expectations for Avatar 2. It's just Avatar. I don't know. I'm just not not too excited. But hey, to each their own. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are stoked for it because I know there are people who loved Avatar. I just want to live in that world. I remember people saying that all the time. Like, sure. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if we had a more nature-centric world, and we all could live harmoniously with nature. I'd love that. I'd love to see more of nature come into where people live, right? Have more grass top roofs and little gardens and like waterfalls coming off of buildings. Like I want to see that. I think that would be awesome and beautiful. And we need more of nature to be brought back into our man-made structures where everything's just concrete and asphalt and metal. I think we've needed to get back to a more harmonious interaction with nature for a long time, but it's not happening. Sadly, at least I mean, slowly people are pushing toward it, but I think yeah, it would be nice to see more effort put into that for sure. Um, but just as far as what we've seen from the first Avatar, meh, not really impressed, not really excited. I hope they'll prove me wrong. I hope Cameron will bring in some of that excitement and power and awe-inspiring moments that we got from Terminator 2 in some ways, and um, elements that we enjoyed of The Abyss. I thought parts of The Abyss were cool, but it was also really slow, kind of lethargic, like put you to sleep kind of movie. It'd be cool if they could tie in some elements that were in it's not his movie, but that we saw in Sphere, another Michael Crichton property. Wasn't perfect. The film wasn't perfect, either. But it had. If you talk about like fear of being underwater and things that can happen, watch Sphere, man, or read the book. It's phenomenal. The movie's pretty good. It's a horror film, really. Kind of is kind of what it is. An intelligent, creepy horror film, starring Dustin Hoffman, Samuel L. Jackson, and Sharon Stone. There's another major actor in there too, but I forget his name. But good flick. Good story in general. Interesting. But anyway, so anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just complaining about complaining about films, and I know some people are probably like, well, if you don't like that, make your own thing. Well, that's what I'm planning to do. That's what I'm working toward. I want to make my own films. I want to make films that kind of show all these other ones up. You know what I mean? Like just show them how it's done. Because I'm tired of just going to a film or going to a theater or going to a film and expecting something great and always being disappointed 9 times out of 10. When it comes to like an epic adventure, anyway, you know what I mean? Like, there's still films I go to and enjoy, of course. I mean, like speaking of Keanu, like John Wick films are great, they're fun. You know, you don't go in expecting War and Peace. You're going in expecting a badass action movie with just a lot of shooting and kung fu and brutal, you know, like murder and havoc, and it's action, and that's what you get, and it's great. You know, I really enjoyed all of them, but yeah, all of them had great moments and great parts. You know, I really enjoyed the third one a lot. Yeah, can't wait for the fourth one. But yeah, it's just as far as like that adventure genre, you know what I mean? Like the big, all-encompassing kind of films, big, well-done tentpole blockbusters. There's not many. Um, Sadly, even Christopher Nolan, like Tenet, meh, dropped the ball, too confusing. I got most of it, but it's still just like there's a lot of holes and a lot of just weird. You know, it's just it's too much. It's too much complexity and not enough explanation, and you're just again thrown into the middle of a world you're just supposed to accept and embrace rather than have it explained well enough for you to really grasp. And then that easy like line that one character says, like, don't think about it, just try to feel it. Like that doesn't work. That doesn't work in this scenario. You need some exposition. You need some intelligent dialogue to kind of get us up to speed if you want us to accept this kind of environment and the world that we're in. But I loved Interstellar. I thought that was great. That was actually a script that was apparently written first for Spielberg, which is interesting. That would have been a return to form, I think, for Spielberg if he would have done something similar to what Nolan did. But anyway, I'm glad Christopher and his brother were able to have fun with it because I enjoyed it overall. Sorry. Anyway, I know I'm just complaining a lot. I'll shut up now. I'll move on and I'll do what that kid wanted. Just shut up and sculpt, man. Just do the work. Stop thinking out loud. Work. And we're getting there. Almost done. I'm almost done with the hair for now, and then I'll move on to the sunglasses because I'm itching to get to those two, and we're already at an hour. So, um, but it's cool to see it coming together here. I don't quite like this area. It's a little lumpy. I want to smooth it out a little bit. Granted, I don't want it to look like Ken doll hair either necessarily. I remember my sister always had a Ken doll or two to play with her Barbies when we were kids, and I would remember the hair just was like very like just it was just like smooth line, smooth line, smooth line, you know. And want this to feel like it has a bit more natural flow to it. Anyway, but I mean, are my complaints valid? Does anyone else out there agree? I feel like more people agree than disagree with what I have to say. In general, like I think more people in general just not that they hear what I'm saying necessarily. I just mean that a lot of people feel the same way in general, and they probably just don't articulate it that much. But I feel like there's all that to say. I think there's a big market for making those kind of films and adjustments to storytelling that I feel like I can't be the only one who's longing for a callback to the 90s form, but even pushing, of course, beyond it and going even further and just making things better and making things that a lot of people, I think, have wanted for quite a while, and that current establishment of people with power, the executives and studios, have been missing the mark for a long time now. I feel like when you have that much money and that much power behind organizations and you're getting consistently crappy results, it's a sign that the people with the money and the power are making consistently bad choices, right? Um, like they're they're making really like consistently like there's something that you can tell is wrong, that they're making the consistent same error over and over again. And I'm not sure if it's just because people with a lot of money have no idea what a good story is versus a bad one, or if they just want to inject like, current day politics more into it rather than just tell a universally enjoyable story. But it feels like there's a telltale sign of bad filmmaking versus whatever worked out for all these other films that I'm talking about that a lot of us love and enjoyed. And whatever it was, we need to go back to that, and use that as the basis for the future of filmmaking. I think if we want to see more massive success and just fantastic art, just works of art that people are thrilled about and love and can all get behind and just enjoy and walk away talking about, and in turn that it's like, high quality, good word of mouth spreads like wildfire, right? I mean, you just put in that work and you get the return. It's like you make a great brand and you make some great products, or you make a great product, a story, right, a film, and then you can make so many great products off of that, and then you make even more money from residuals, right? Like all the toys and the models and the whatever, all the ridiculous extra products you can make off of a brand once you've established a great story. It's like everything else will just go like crazy. But like when we see like the recent Star Wars, I remember because the Star Wars action figures used to be like the hottest thing for every Star Wars, especially the older ones. And as the new films have come out, especially after I think the second one that Rian Johnson did, everyone hated it so much. So many fans did that. There were a lot of characters and toys. Some of them I worked on, but a lot of the ones that I worked on, the ones that actually did sell. Though I didn't work on Rose Tico, but Rose Tico, I remember that character just didn't. There was like millions of her toys just left over. Like no one bought them. No one wanted that character. It was just, not just that character, but a lot of the stuff from those films. It was like, you know, bad product begets more bad products, or they don't sell. Anyway, I'm not liking that. I'm trying to get that hair to move, but I think I should just probably use a move brush instead to kind of give it a little bit more flow. I don't know. Sorry, I went on this rant, but I was for some reason in particular this past week, I definitely felt more. I don't know what it was. Something about the season and the weather. I don't know what it is, but something kept making me think more about, or being able to recall better the experience of being a kid and enjoying that summer in '93 with Jurassic Park, and then I came across this 35 millimeter cut on Reddit. Someone just dropped this yesterday. They some fans got together and released a fan edited cut, which is really nothing more than just they found the raw 35 millimeter film without so it's a full square, like a 4x3 square of the footage of the original film. So you actually see below and above the black bars of a letterbox format. Excuse me. So you're seeing full coverage, the full frame. So you see below, like for instance, when the brachiosaur comes and eats the leaves from the tree where Alan and the kids are asleep that morning, you see the end of the animatronic puppet's neck. So it's a giant brachiosaurus head, and you see the skin end, and then all these cables and machinery coming out the bottom. And I was like, so it obviously was not intended for the public to see, but go on Reddit and find it if you're interested in seeing far more of above and below the frame of Jurassic Park than you've ever seen before. The only shots that are widescreen are the ones that had to be for visual effects. So any VFX shot, it fills out the sides. But then as soon as the VFX shot is done, it goes back to square format. And it's a really fascinating look at the film. So if you ever loved Jurassic Park, or just are curious about how films are shot and what things look like outside of or in the editing bay, I should say, before they're, really matted and, put out the door, look up the 35 millimeter cut of Jurassic Park now that's out. Who knows how long it's going to be out there? I already saved it. I know a bunch of other people I'm sure have saved it, so they might have to throw it up online again or something, because I'm sure Universal won't be happy about it. Probably. I don't know. But it's fascinating. I find it a fascinating view just to see. It kind of just gives you a little bit of a feel of what it was like on set in those moments. Like there's another shot with the T-Rex coming in smelling Alan and Lex when they're right up against the flipped Explorer in the rain. And as they're coming in, the shot's getting tighter right as they start the shot. If you pause it for like, I don't know, for first 2-3 seconds, you see that Alan or Sam Neill and Ariana Richards are sitting on these like wooden boxes, these little crates, almost like apple crates, right? Like sitting on these boxes to elevate them to the right height so that the animatronic head lines up, the nostrils kind of line up with Sam's face. So then I guess they can just pump the air through the nostrils and blow off his hat for the next shot. So you see little things like that, which were obviously never meant to be shown or seen in the film. But it's again, it's just a fun like sort of peek, behind the scenes sort of throughout the finished, the final shots of the film. So I don't know, just interesting, very cool. But yeah, and the cut of it too, it's like it's got all that noise, like little hairs and specks and all the speckle and stuff that's on old film, and you have like no color correction really, so it's not color graded. So you'll see the blacks are a little too black and dark, and the highlights are fine, but it's a lot more blurry. Like, and you can see how at that level, when that was actually being, projected onto a screen, with just a bit more brightness to it, you can still see how the blurriness and all these other elements that are artifacts of that era really help the film, like cheat little things that we can see almost too much detail in now. Like when the Rex's foot hits the ground after it's running after the Jeep, if you look closely, you can see how there's a little bit of sliding. Or like the raptor, it was even obvious in this cut, but like the raptor in the freezer when it runs after Tim and it's turning around, it's a CG shot where it's turning around and coming at you. The feet on the floor don't quite line up correctly, and it's a little like it looks like it's laid on top of this shot because it's in a very like atmospheric, like foggy, freezer environment, and so they should have added a bit more atmosphere in front of the raptor's feet and body so that it blended in better into that scene. It's set more in there correctly. So little things like that you'll notice if you're, a visual effects person. If you understand some of that process, you'll get it. But anyway, I think I probably went a little too extreme with this wave, but I wanted there to be some flow. I might make this a little bit more gentle. And then we're gonna move to sunglasses. We are, I promise. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just like dumping my thoughts on Hollywood and entertainment. But anyway, I don't know. I'm missing the chat here. So, dang it, crap. All right. Save this quick, and then reopen the project. And then delete all. And then load in Mr. Reeves. And bam. And we're back. We still got the cameras there. Okay. So now I can save the project as is. Let me catch up on chat really quickly. Sorry, I'm sure you guys are like, he's not looking at the chat. Let's see here. Almost slept past the stream. Hey, what's up? teach me. Okay, sorry. I haven't been teaching much. I've just been sculpting hair and ranting about my disappointment in Hollywood. Used to like watching Gladiator game. That was like baseball. Okay. Gladiator game? The firstborn movie was made under a lot of pressure, and it does not show at all. Yeah, right? Mishking, hello. Hey, is your head life size? This head, I mean, is it scaled to actual life size proportions? It easily could be, but no, I don't think it is right now. Not really. ZBrush is high polys. Splines can be brought into my action convert splines. Yeah. People interested in hair creation for film, check out my Weighted Digitals video. about their Meerkat demo for Unreal. Yeah, the Meerkat demo is that is amazing. Check out Weta Digital. Yeah. That's I can't wait to start diving more into that process for Unreal. Have I played around with any VR stuff like MRI Maya VR plugin? There's a Maya VR plugin, Maya VR, Medium, Gravity Sketch, Condone, any other VR. It's like funny because I have a VR headset now, and I've been meaning to start playing with them. I did work on Medium in the past, just for a little bit, and it was cool. I just haven't really made an effort to get into it because it's not exactly something I would use for production just yet. I don't think it is there for production really, but it'd be like creating something in Dynamesh and ZBrush. But it would be cool to see it. Yeah, I mean, to take these and bring them in there and then look at them in life-size scale, or look at some pieces like big. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so I should do that. But I haven't really played around with it yet. I didn't know there was a Maya VR plugin. I have to look that up. Roberto Carlos LA, amazing artwork. Oh, thank you. Hard to replicate that magic of the first Jurassic. Yeah, for sure. Also didn't feel there was a connection between Chris Pratt and his love interest in the movie. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, I don't think they had any chemistry, and the writing was just, ugh. Can't wait for Jurassic Park movie in space. Everyone in Lost World felt forced, and Bryce Dallas Howard was nice to look at. Yeah, for sure. Because I think Bryce is a great actress. I loved her in The Village. I thought The Village. It's like once you were removed from the moment of seeing The Village, for me, it's like after the disappointment of like bait and switch, they cheated me. I wanted this and they gave me that. I wanted a creature feature. Once I got over that and I revisited the film years later, I really like it. Now I love the film. I think it's a great film. Great, interesting story. I just feel like they should have marketed it somehow differently. But it's like to market it any differently would mean to give away it would give away the twist, I guess. Even the one, it's a two twist movie because the first twist is that the creature isn't real. Sorry for spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen The Village. And then the second twist is that it's the modern day and that they're kind of all within a national park sort of, or some sort of preserve. It's just weird, and it's like that. How would you tell that without? How would you market that? I mean, it's weird in the sense, how would you like share that in a trailer without spoiling anything? You can't. So it's like that's the only downfall. I think that was like it was like by design, almost designed to fail because it's lying to people in a way that you don't want it to lie to you. But I still now I love the film, so I don't know, whatever. I like M. Night Shyamalan's early stuff for sure. Signs is one of my favorite films too. Love that movie. Man, Jurassic Park with human DNA thing that was concepted could have been amazing. Wait, the humans with dinosaur DNA? No, I don't. If that's what you mean with human DNA thing, yeah, I don't know. There was like the supposed Jurassic Park 3 idea or Jurassic Park 4 idea. Oh no, no humanoid dinosaur hybrid stuff. No hybrid stuff. Period. I just enjoyed when they were originally trying to make dinosaurs look like dinosaurs. And again, the whole argument with feathers, like until we have fossil evidence, like hardcore evidence, like there were feathers connected to a raptor's arm, like and anywhere else, like flight feathers don't make sense for an animal that can't fly either. Like it doesn't evolutionarily make sense. I'm more firm believer they were probably quills, like they had on the Indominus Rex. That makes a lot more sense than that flight feathers, right? I mean, they still could have been like feathered like an emu or like a sort of like an ostrich. But even ostriches' little arms, they're not flight feathers. They're like these weird, big, like floofy, like I don't know what the right word is, but they're more almost for like display, I guess, right? And intimidation to look bigger, as an animal to predators. But they were clearly not for flight. And so for a raptor to have flight feathers really scientifically doesn't make sense. I feel like I don't know why people are trying to push that so hard for accuracy. Doesn't make sense. They'd probably be quills, and then maybe they'd have like some downy covering or something. But anyway, my other nitpick with science and dinosaurs. People were like, "Yeah, we'll have feathers." And no, they all didn't. We have a lot of skin impressions of just hard, pebbly skin. So I think they're like a weird species. They're a whole mixture of different species, but they're a whole weird genus group, like a whole other, just different group of animals. Weird, different, cool, different mix of animals. Not like today's stuff. Like to see Atomic Fiction tackle the VFX for a remake. Atomic Fiction tackle VFX for a remake, huh? Atomic Fiction. Why do I know them? Joe, hey Daniel, did you read that Elon will I heard about, yeah, I heard about that the day that I think it was tweeted out or something that his co-founder, it wasn't Elon, I think it was his co-founder of Neuralink said they believe that they could in theory create a real Jurassic Park. And I think I talked about this last stream, but it seems like something that it's definitely I've said this for a long time. I feel like we're going to get to that point in technology where we're not going to need to clone anything. I think with CRISPR and some other advances in technology and gene editing, maybe not in our lifetime, but if world collapse doesn't happen in science and things still keep moving forward and governments don't get communistic control over everything, I think we're going to see the ability for people, for scientists to just simply create creatures, animals, biological living things that have never existed. So it's not that they were extinct, this has never existed, and recombine DNA in a way that will allow creatures to be made, born, hatched, whatever, created, and engineered to look a specific way. Meaning, I think we could just make the Jurassic Park dinosaurs or something close-ish to them eventually. Excuse me, where maybe machine learning, and supercomputers can compute and crunch enough data to be able to help people guide genetic flow of how the phenotype, how something physically represents it, manifests itself in the real world, how the phenotypes look, so that we get some lizards or birds or chickens or something like them. Basically, we recreate them to be dinosaurs, or like our version of what we think dinosaurs could look like. I think that we're probably going to get to that point. Whoa, that was weird. I feel like we're going to get to that point. So I think that, yeah. So I think when they said that we can create in the real Jurassic Park, I think, yeah, I believe it. I think we are going to get to that point. And I've said this years ago. We're going to get to that point where you can make, we're going to be able to make animals that never existed and make them look however we want. And so then what's to stop you from just making dinosaurs that look like our idea of dinosaurs, basically, right? When you're able to tell a computer to engineer genetics to make a jaw this long and to fill it with this many teeth and to make its guts arranged in this basic order, and for these skin layers to be the right thickness and the eyes to be located in this area. And when you can really kind of engineer to that point where you're almost like 3D modeling a creature that's going to be, you know, um, produced somehow. I mean, that's where we're going to get to that point. If we get to there, then yeah, we're going to be able to make dinosaurs how we want them to look. And hopefully we keep them mostly small so they don't they don't need to eat too much. Don't trample people and then we have to shoot them. Yeah, and that'll open up a whole other weird, crazy world of other markets then. Because think about that: people who want to go hunting, like sick trophy hunters. Like I don't enjoy or get the idea of people paying a lot of money to go kill an animal that's either endangered or just precious. I don't know, the whole thing with like shooting lions or any big game, elephants. All that's horrible. I hate that. It just seems so cruel and it's so pointless. And they try to defend themselves by saying like, "Oh, the elephant's meat will feed this village." You can slaughter other animals and give them meat, or just like, you know, figure out other way. You don't have to kill an elephant. You don't have to kill an endangered species to like help people. It's BS. It's just them trying to excuse their weird, or issues. I don't know. I don't find any pleasure in causing animals harm. That's something wrong up here. I think if people actually enjoy that, something missing. There's no empathy for suffering, for needless suffering. I don't know. I don't think anyone should take pleasure in hurting another living thing. It's one thing if it's to protect yourself, because a thing's going to eat you, right? Or going to attack your family or loved ones, then it shouldn't be pleasurable still. It's just then out of necessity for self-preservation. But I don't get that whole thing with guys who like going to kill unknowing animals. They don't know what's going on, and then they're in sudden agony. It's horrible. Anyway, depressing. What has already been created? It has already been created, right? horrible reading comprehension. I forgot what I read by the time I turned the page. It was awesome to listen to movie rants. Okay, good. I agree with you 100%, maybe even more. Yes, someone else who agrees. Thank you. I'm sure your water is clearer than Virginia Beach. That's for sure, dude. I used to live on the East Coast, so I've been to Jersey beaches. I've been to the Jersey Shore before Jersey Shore was a show. Wildwood. I've been on Wildwood a lot in Jersey back before it got destroyed when the hurricane happened. That boardwalk was there a lot in my childhood and my young adulthood. Yeah, the water there's brown and just like murky as hell. Yeah, so our water's probably clearer for sure than the East Coast, but it's probably even clearer though in Florida. Well, maybe on the east side of Florida and the southern side. I'm not sure about the west side because of I remember the oil spill kicked a lot of globs of just crap into the ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and that was really horrible and sad. Did I enjoy District 9? Oh yeah, I love District 9. I thought District 9 was fantastic. I really just want to see Mr. Blomkamp and crew kick ass in District 10. I would have loved to have seen his version of Aliens 3. Would have been freaking awesome from the concept art and the ideas. Let alone, I'm like, he's already nailing it. Like, he's already got those big beats there. Like, I'm sold. Sadly, very disappointed with Elysium and much more so with Chappie. Just definitely missed the mark on those. Again, great visual effects and even some really great actors, but story writing was just painfully bad. I forgot about that. Unobtainium, yeah, good god, yeah, it's freaking horrible, dude. Like, so bad. Sphere was pretty good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Sphere was pretty enjoyable. Live Scriber. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Do you know how to use CG software? Do I know how to use CG software, Dan? I mean, is that a joke? When is your realistic? I mean, I'm probably just so delayed on some of these comments. It probably would have made more sense when you dropped it. When is your realistic timeline of when you will pursue making your own film? Do you have a goal date when you will begin? I've already begun. It's just a matter of getting back to it, I think, at this point. I've already done all the motion capture for my short. I just need to get with my friend I need to see. This is the thing. I'm working on this boy for this Last Guardian short, right? This boy meaning like a boy model. I'll actually show you guys here. So just change it up a little bit for a second. Not like bullying, just want to bring it there. So let me see if I can find the kid from The Last Guardian quick for my little short. It's not done, and I'm such a perfectionist, and that's my problem, is I think I'm probably killing myself in perfection mode rather than just I think this might be the right one. I'm killing myself in like refining things too much and nitpicking, and I just need to just get it out. I think I just need to get it done, and I'll admit that I can get lost in being like, no, I want to perfect things and make it look just right. I feel like I still need to do another pass on his face and the detail work. But now that I have access to MetaHuman, I'm wondering if I can remake him in MetaHuman even better and already rigged in Unreal, because I'm going to be doing everything in Unreal. So, don't judge us too harshly because it is not done. I wouldn't call it done by any means, but it's close. But he's close. So this is the kid, and the hair was all done in ZBrush, and it's just for a placeholder. I'm going to either export some of these guides or just redo all of the hair in XGen or Natrix. I don't know, whatever. I have Natrix already. I just need to practice with it. But anyway, this is my kid for the short. I still need to add some more like dirt and grime, like spattered mud on his face, whatever. I had a version of him like that that I was going to do for a portfolio piece, and I just haven't got around to it yet. But I just really wanted to make him cute. I wanted to make the kid cute like he is sort of in the game, because in the game he's a very cute, like semi-anime like face. So I wanted to make a realistic version of that. I'm still not happy with this, but I think it's pretty cute, but not quite there yet. I feel like I need to modify some of the elements, because I was trying to keep it faithful to what we see in the game, but real, right? A real version of that kid. So there's always like a compromise, but I feel like it's pretty close to the mark. We're almost there. I was looking at a bunch of different like faces of famous kid actors or cute Asian kids, and there's one kid from this movie that I remember hearing about but I never watched, and then someone reminded me of it recently. It was The Golden Child. So I looked at that kid's face, really cute, very like pudgy, round, very cute face. And then I looked at just some random shots of some kids from like Taiwan or Japan, I think. And so I used some of their faces too for some reference here. But I started with a good base of a Asian woman's scan actually, and then I've been reworking it like crazy and cleaning up. Like she had a bunch of acne and like just red splotches here and there, so I do a lot of cleanup because kids don't have acne, obviously. So there's been a lot of work that's gone into this, and it's not done yet. But so just being a perfectionist, that's my problem. I think some of it because I don't want to put things out there that are just half-assed or crap. I want things to be like freaking glorified, like amazing, beautiful, awesome. Like I always want people's reaction to my work to either be they're cursing because they're so impressed or they're just speechless, right? I never want it to be just like meh. I never want that reaction, right? Like you never want apathy or like distaste, disdain for it. You want people to be like, holy effing, like, oh my god, this is awesome. That's the response I always go for. And so I always aim for that, reaching that build up to that climax of just like, oh my god, yes, like that's what I want multiple times. I want multiple film orgasms. Basically, you want people to be like, oh my god, yeah, this is incredible. Like you want those peaks. You want those like amazing moments of just like sheer excitement and joy and awe and emotion and all of those, like a roller coaster. You want those really good peaks and dives, peaks and valleys. So I have so much. I mean, it's already all done. Like I did all the acting for it, really. So the kid is all his acting is done. I did it all myself, in an X-Sense suit. So I got some really good, really solid motion capture data. And so this will be the embodiment of that. This kid will be I'm acting as. So the only thing I have to do then will be expressions. So I'm gonna have to use Unreal. I've got my iPhone 11 here. Got to do the all the expressions for the kid, like when he's worried and he's afraid and he's like different things. There's not going to be a lot. There's no speech throughout the whole thing. It's all nonverbal. So it's all just going to be music and visuals, right? And I'm such a firm believer that those two things alone should be able to communicate a film's story overall. Of course, you need dialogue for certain things or many things. You need exposition. But in this particular case, the whole game is nonverbal, really. There's a narrator that is the boy in the future as an adult telling you the story. But even then, he interjects very little. It's minimal narration. It's a lot of it is simply shown. It's show don't tell, right? It's the epitome of that. So that's why I think that's a good storyteller, when you can see and get everything that's happening and the emotion, and they don't even have a language. It's like a made up language, but it works in that everyone has the same experience. You have to read the subtitles, or you just have to get the tonality of the voice and the urgency and the inflections and all those subtle. They are verbal, but yet they're like raw, right? Ways of communicating and feeling, because it's not a real language, right? So everybody, if you're not reading subtitles, you have to get by what's inferred from the emotionality and the visceralness of the kids acting. So I made sure to put all that energy into the physical acting that I did as well, and did multiple takes, like take after take after take after take, until I finally feel like I nailed it. And I had a friend or two over who would give me they would watch me do the acting, and then they said, I could do that one better. And then finally we got where I felt good and they felt good about it. And we're like, all right, we got it. If not that take, at least one of the other two around that time, we got it. So definitely put a lot of care and love into the acting of it. And now it's just about the facial. I'm very emotive and expressive, so I don't have any fear that I'll be able to get the right expressions down for the moments when he's looking left and right. Because it's mostly fear and like breathing. That's most of it. It's the chase sequence that's sort of the short, really. And it'll probably be like 5 to 8 minutes long. It's not very long. But thrilling, and really some really beautiful scenery from the game. Sort of taking parts, like different sections of the game that aren't that far apart, and just mashing them together, and then to create a really cool path for the kid to run through. And it really is sort of like an introduction to the world. So it's like you could not know the game, The Last Guardian. You could not know any of the characters, but it's a great introduction and ramp up to the reveal of Trico and what the world is like, and discovering that this animal is actually not a monster or your enemy, but actually your savior and your friend. And so it's that great kind of beautiful reveal that comes to this really impactful climax at the end where Trico saves the boy, basically. So that's short, and it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fun. It's very succinct and exciting and beautiful. But yeah, so my work is always about hitting that epitome, though, hitting that mark, all right? But I know that there's always those other phrases of like, done is better than, or good enough is better than, how does that phrase go? Done or good enough is better than not done at all, right? Or whatever. So I get it. Like, I know I just need to get it out. I just need to get it done, because I've been working on it now for a while, on and off. a lot of off, and I should have probably killed it last year. I mean, like just crushed it, just put it out there. But I don't know. Last year was just rough, man. It was just weird and rough, and I'm trying not to like guilt myself over not being as productive as I wanted to be, and I feel like as I should have been. But oh well. Can't cry over spilt milk, right? Like just move on. Um, so just gotta get her done. So a goal, a date. I mean, I want to be done with the short, have it out sometime this summer. That's the goal at this point. Because right now it's just rigging and then, you know, finishing the model, rigging it with my buddy. My buddy's gonna help me rig it, and then and he's gonna help me animate it, and then we just combine it with the different takes as I'm also working on the environment. I got to flesh out the world. Like I have a gray box version of the whole world, the landscapes all to scale and everything, but now I got to like build the buildings and use mega scans for a lot of the ground and textures, and a lot of it's like on this elevated city. So a lot of it's not like Earth, but there's a lot of like mountainous like cliff sides that are speckling this beautiful landscape inside this massive crater environment. Excuse me. If you played the game, you know what I mean. If you haven't, well, think of like a giant crater, like almost like a volcano that's inactive, except that the mound up to the mouth of it is not so massive with a little mouth. It's the other way around, almost like it's just really sheer walls that immediately come up and then go down inside, and then there's this massive area that's a city inside of this huge crater. With trees growing around the rim of the mouth of this opening of the crater, and all kinds of lush greens and really like beautiful foresty etch-esque environments mixed in with a lot of like just stone and ruins, and vines overgrowing things and nature overtaken areas, and ruins, like a lot of buildings that are very like Greek or Romanesque but then collapsed or withered away, or half of them are missing here but there's other half that looks pristine. So it's really beautiful environment, but a lot of work. So I'm going to have to be smart about like what's matte painting, what's a background image that's just an image, because the camera's not going to do any real like you're not going to see much parallax, you know what I mean, or like any rotation around certain things. So I have to be clever about just making certain things really high res matte paintings, so that I can cheat the background a bit, so I don't have to do so much work and so much modeling. Anyway, so glasses. Sorry, we're like last 15 minutes here. I'm gonna go a little bit longer, I think, just to do the glasses, but I'm gonna focus on glasses now. Sorry, talking. Let's see how am I want to do this. Oh, let's do this. So one cool thing, and something I'm very interested in seeing, speaking about my rants on movies and whatnot, is Mr. Reeves is doing his own comic, and he helped write it with a famous comic book writer, and I'm sorry I forget his name, but it's called Berserker, and it's spelled without the vowels, and it's basically about I guess like a mercenary or a soldier who is cursed with not being able to die. So he's, in order to, I think the synopsis was, in order to die, he must serve this sort of like governing power, like a government power, to execute a bunch of like terrorists or other groups, and eventually he'll earn his right to die or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the description, but basically an excuse just to be a badass, go out there and just like wreck house. And of course I'm sure like there's something probably like that the government agency that's telling him to do that, he has to fight against them too, because they're probably going to backstab him or something. I don't know. But anyway, looks cool, looks fun. It's like 44 pages is the first issue I read. So, and they're also already making a deal to make a movie out of it, which is like, duh. And that's the coolest thing, is when you make your own vehicle. And my brain's already in that department. Been there for a long time for making my own stuff. But he's crafting his own hit, right? He's making his own. He's devising his own success, I think, which is awesome, right? So that's cool. That's really encouraging to see, and I'm really hopeful that his taste will be solid. I mean, because it feels like his taste in selecting the movies he's acted in overall has been very good. So I feel like he has a good sense of like what is a good story, what are good characters, what are like engaging and likable characters. So if his track record overall is anything to like point to, I think we might be in line for the Renaissance of Mr. Reeves, the Reevaissance, I guess is what we should call it, a Keanu-sance. I think they already called it. They already called it that, right? Yeah. But yeah, it feels like the Keanu-sance is well underway. So that's cool though. That's exciting. So I'm using a sphere because I want it to be solid. I'm going to use the face as a way to boolean out so that I can kind of like install it into the face. And I probably will just glue it, I guess. Or will I? I don't know. And it's a thing. It's like I might have to do a couple versions of this. I might have to print like a couple versions just to try it out to see what would work best. And part of me is even wondering if one of the best ways to have it like insert into the head would be to create a pin that goes right through the pupil into the eye, because that's already supposed to be a hole, right, for your anatomically correct um, body. So I mean, not, obviously you have your lens in front of it, but I mean, for this case, clear and then clear material would all blend together as one. So in this case, um, I feel like you wouldn't be able to, because the black is supposed to be so dark, the black of the shades, that you would really not be able to distinguish, as you can't in this photo really. You can't really see the clearness of the lenses of his eyes. He's looking downward enough where I think you don't even really you don't even get a real look at his eyes. I mean, like I guess they're right there, yeah. But his brow's down so much, and the lighting is just where you just really, it's really hard to distinguish if that's really the iris right there, maybe. But like, anyway, so I feel like this kind of works to my benefit, where I could probably just take the lenses and just, like I said, have a pin that goes straight into the pupil. Although it's going to be so small, I'm not sure if that will help hold it. But the rest of it will also be, like I said, carved away from the face being the subtractive part of this lens. So, you'll see here in a sec. Should turn off the face for now, though, so I can turn off everything here, so I can just line up the lenses, and I guess turn off the hair too. All right. So I'm doing one, and then I'll just mirror it, and then make adjustments accordingly because they're asymmetrical on his face. Let's just see. Okay, so relevance to his face. There we go, and then like this, and right there. Okay. So now we know that that's lined up correctly. Take that away. Go through transparency. And I'm sure there's more dialogue in the chat. I'm sorry, I'll get back to it in uno momento. Let me move this over here. Do this. Maybe back to the chat. Could you take a doubt? Whoa, sunglasses will really add to the likeness. Keanu, John Wick next. Yeah. You ain't the only one. Hi, what's up? You worked on a Hasbro toy. Which one? Oh yeah. I worked on the it's in my portfolio if you go to my site. So for anyone who's interested, if you want to check out some of my work and you haven't seen it before, you can head over to lionarts.com. Head over there and you can see all the stuff I've worked on, or not all, but a lot of it. So with the Hasbro toy, the one that I worked on that was for Jurassic World was the Ankylosaurus. I don't think it's in the other. It's in my 3D printing room. But I actually didn't get to work on the dinosaur, ironically. I worked on a lot of raptors and other dinosaurs, but sold privately. Like I worked on the Endoraptor as a bust for Colin Trevorrow and my buddy Glenn McIntosh, who was former lead animation supervisor at ILM. So I've made some really, and I'm not trying to brag, I just mean they were really impressive because it was a hell of a lot of work. Really beautifully, because the finish, because I built them, I modeled the whole thing and sculpted everything and then 3D printed it all in parts because it was a big bust. And then I had to ship it all to London, England, so they would paint it. One of the guys who worked on, a gentleman who's painted much of the Star Wars props for the recent films, from prequels I think to now or something like that. He is a phenomenal painter, and he did all the paint work on the busts and the maquettes that I made for a lot of the guys in the Jurassic crew and ILM guys. So that's been an honor. But it's like, ironically, I've been able to make a lot of work, create a lot of dinosaurs for them, but not for the toy companies, even though my work is like, it crushes whatever you see in the toys. I guess they're just, I don't know why they don't really care about my work because it would make the toys look awesome. And I still have like one of the I have a couple of the original Jurassic Park toys from my childhood, and they're well sculpted. That's why I hang on to them. It's like they're good pieces of art. They're well done. They're actually really well done sculptures. And it kind of bums me out that the quality of the toys coming out now are just okay. You know, they're better. Mattel did a better job than Hasbro, because Hasbro did some really bad stuff with the Raptors especially. But and it's funny because I was talking to one of the guys who was like high up in Hasbro, who was trying to get me in, but there were higher ups that still wanted to have their ego stroked, and they wanted to do the Raptors, which is why they wound up with these terrible toy Raptors that were missing the big sickle claw, like the main feature of the Raptors, right? It was not there. They made them like a Troodon or something because they had 3 flat toes instead of the one big one that was, you know, big claw. So anyway, so yeah, so it's weird. Like I've done more high-end work in dinosaurs than what you see for Hasbro, like way more high quality, like film, like finished film quality dinos. But they're only in the hands of like guys who work on the movies, basically. And a few people who like the Raptors I have for sale on my store as well, on my site. But most people don't want to pay that much for a prototype. I mean, it's technically a prototype, but it's like what, you know, a maquette is, like what you do for film directors. You create like museum quality statues that they have painted and, you know, display. But you know, it's like you can get some pretty decent statues now. Again, they're statues, they're not toys, right? You can get the statues like from Prime One or Iron Studios. They have some pretty impressive. Like I have a T-Rex from I think it's Iron Studios. It's the T-Rex when she's roaring when she has a foot in the Jeep. I mean on the Explorer, but it's just the statue with the stone ground. Beautiful, beautiful sculpture. And I think one of my acquaintances on Facebook actually sculpted that. And he did a great job, a phenomenal job on that Rex. So I had to pick up one of those. And I think they hired some guys from the ILM to work on a lot of statues, which is why they look so good. But those are the exceptions, right? Most of the toys and everything else was like, look okay. But anyway, so yeah, the Hasbro, I just worked on the armor. There's an attachment piece to the Ankylosaurus that like bigger spikes and a bigger spike ball tail thing. It's one of their like, you know, mutation things, I guess, or whatever. So you can attach these parts to your Ankylosaurus, and so I worked on that for Hasbro. But that's it for that. See here. Sorry, I scrolled up too far. NASA chose SpaceX to launch human landing. You mean the moon landing? Yeah, for the moon landing, right? Yeah, I heard about that. It's awesome. Super excited about that. Stop talking, keep sculpting. Yeah. Why are you working on in perspective mode? Because I know that I have a pretty good idea of what the because I have a scan of, first of all, Keanu's face, so I know I can match everything. So this was more about matching, because I have a proper proportional head already. So, and then I made my head match that head. So I'm already in the right zone as far as like focal length. So the perspective is correlated to focal length, right? So in this case, what I have 100. So I'm approximating they use about 100mm lens. So I feel pretty good about working in perspective in that case, because I want it to match this scene, to have this proportions and the face to be this pretty much this solid expression. And then I'm going to put it onto a body in the pose of the end of the triple kick at the end of the lobby sequence. So for those who may not know exactly what I'm referring to, let me show you guys quick. So this facial expression will be attached to practically this body. You know, the leg will be completely extended and smashed into the guy's face, which will create the a tripod effect or bipod sort of so like there's a stock photo which is more like this will be the full statue will basically look like this, almost exactly like this. But like I said, the leg will be making contact with this guy's head. And so right after that is when they cut to right when he hits the guy's head, this is the cut. So they go from right where that last frame was, where Keanu's like fully extended, almost in every way except his last leg. And then he strikes the guy, and then they cut to this part. So it's that moment where he's striking him where it's going to be the full body scene. So I want his pose to be pretty much like this. So it's really kind of awesome, like victorious, like almost angelic kind of pose. But his the only trick I'm going to be doing is that the leg will make a contact, so those will be sealed. So the leg and the face will be one piece for a while, so that it creates a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a foundational connection, right? An anchor point. And then the second connection point that'll connect, of course, to the guy's body, and the body will connect to the floor, some sort of floral, printed on a flat surface, so that that'll create one sort of tripod area, and then the leg extending to Keanu. His keep wanting to say cape, but I always have to stop myself. His coat, trench coat, will be connecting. I'll have it billowing out a little bit more and brushing up against this pillar that's right back here. It's right here behind him. So the coat will blend into, or will be pressed up against the pillar a bit, and that will keep the. And I'll have to thicken it a bit as it gets closer to his body, so it creates a more stable, basically 1, 2-ish to 3-ish kind of 3 points of, or really 2 points of connection. So it's like an A-frame kind of. So it'll support him and his posture, and I'll keep everything hollow in Keanu, and keep almost a lot of things more solid the lower in gravity we get down the legs of his victim, the guard, the army dude, or whatever you want to say, the SWAT guy. So yeah, so that's basically where this is going. So that's all right, it's a long tangent for why I'm working in perspective. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of where between those two, like that other one and this one is somewhere. I think the other pose actually is even better. That one, I think that's because that angle, like the way his body is posed, that's just awesome. So I really like that the best. But this is the sequence that we're going to be lining up with. So this is what made it in the film, but I think this was actually shot as a still for so it's probably a different take, I guess, or it's a slightly different moment, just I don't know, that we didn't see. But because it looks like his foot's like right up here, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which is missing the guy's head. But it's probably so that they could get, I don't know, some other shot. I don't know, it's probably a different take or something, or just for a still. But anyway, awesome pose. Facial expression's a little too extreme. That's why I'm going with the one that we're working with here, because I feel like that's a little bit more focused and not so like funny. Because when you get, like I was always saying this in other streams, whenever you're doing a musical instrument or you're doing some sort of action quickly, and you're really focused, you always want it making funny expressions, like just or just like extreme, like hard expressions, and it kind of looks ridiculous if you're to freeze frame it. Sometimes in motion you don't even notice it because everything's moving, right? But when you have these still frames and you look at someone's face, it's kind of funny. So rather than making it look like he's really having a sour experience, or just like it doesn't look like cool anger. It looks like a sour kind of funny expression. So like he's pinching one off and it's uncomfortable or something. So like to avoid that comedy, inadvertent comedy, we're going with something that's a bit more cool, a little bit more stoic, and focused, not so much like So anyway, I'm gonna get back to the shades. I'll go for another like half hour or so, just so we can get the shades going. How did you become a streamer for Pixologic? They asked me. They invited me to. Situation. Neil Blomkamp was also supposed to direct the Halo movie. Yep. I think it would have been awesome to see that too. Yeah, I agree. It probably would have been pretty good. I agree. Wow, that is amazing. Looks real. Oh, because I guess you guys are referring to the kid, because I'm still catching up. Thank you. The 2 words that are terrible in the English language. Good enough. Yep. It's mostly gestures in the game. Yep. Have ZBrush 21.6 and pushing the barriers outside of conventional avenues of 3D. My bro was part of Star Wars, working Yoda before full CG. Muppet movie family, Little Shop of Horrors. Wow, that's awesome, Doug. Dude, that's so cool. Wow. Very cool. Dude, do you have an Instagram? Let me know. Because sorry, we lost some people here as I was just talking and explaining things. But anyway, if anybody would like to connect with me outside of here, please give me a follow on Instagram. This is my handle. So you can find me there, or send me an email if you like. He's checking the chat every 10 minutes. Yeah, sorry, I'm going back up here to catch up. I'm gonna try to fly through these. Um, Mixed feelings about the good enough, because if there's a deadline, I'd rather have good enough than be late. Yeah. It's good to get done. Something is better than nothing, and do better on the next one. Yep. Sounds very cool. Yeah, but in general, I hate hearing someone tell me yeah, I did good enough. Right. I hear you. I hear that. What else? I know what you mean. Kiana-san sounds good. Yeah. Rady Raid. Oh. Thank you. So that's why the number spiked a bit. Okay. Not on my watch. Hello, hello, hello. Timed out. Odido. Welcome, Raiders. Yeah. What have I done wrong already? Hey, how are you? Hello, hello. Sorry, Mom, I had to get one in before I left. See you guys later. Nice chatting. Okay, well, I guess that's already goodbye then. That was a while ago now. Fine, bye. Not even started the Razy jokes yet. um, Too many emotes spamming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's in the Matrix, so not checking chat. I didn't realize that you rated me no until right now. Thank you. I did not realize that. I appreciate it though. Just wave our arms furiously. We are here. Need to rewatch the Matrix. Yeah, you do. It's always worth it. King Keanu. Yep. Um, my book guy, which is endearing. Um, Fucking don't even mention it. Yes, thank you for the raid. uh, Great personality trait. Uh, Camera angle because he doesn't make contact. Yeah. There's the Ant-Man, the fly sunglasses. Um, Maybe we're the people who lost now. It's already dead. Bye anyway. All right, I think I'm with you. Da, 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 da. All right, so a lot of chat here. It's just about the raid. Uh, Ribs are ready. um, so about ZBrush, their cloth functionality in 2021 is the cat's pajamas. Yeah. Yeah, PJMs. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. The cloth is awesome. Let's get some stuff back in here. Streaming somewhere else too, not checking chat. No, I'm here. Sorry, it's just taking me a bit to catch up. Uh, all right, so there we go. My cake day. ¿Cómo puedes? Yeah, I'm actually I don't really speak much Spanish, embarrassingly. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm doing okay, thank you. How are you? Uh, okay, so back to the glasses. I might have to reference some other photos of the glasses too, because sure they're not just, they have this like downward kind of thing. They're not just pure ovals. And I'm gonna have to curve them around the face too, because they have that kind of, they're curved in multiple angles, not just one. So if I'm not mistaken, I think kind of comes out and down. Kind of has that, right? Comes down a little bit more. And then we want to do a nice bend curve deformer. Oh, with multiple subdivisions it can't, right? Okay, so let's do it like this. Alrighty, and we want like that. So we can kind of do this. It's a nice lattice system they brought into ZBrush, which is great. Lets you do adjustments like this very easily. Kind of give it a nice curve without having to like manually ruin it by trying to do it with Move Brush. So I think that's good. Let's accept that and see. Accept. And okay, so yeah, it's too far removed from the head. I'm gonna have to rotate it against the head. So it might actually be a little bit longer. And then you want to rotate it. So it's a bit more like so. And then we go down. Yeah, it's looking good. I think it's getting there. And then the problem, or not the problem, but the interesting challenge is going to be then to extrude it into the head, into the face a bit, so that the face can be what removes that amount of material from the lens. So it'll be thicker, but you won't be able to tell because it'll be at the right distance from the head. But that will allow me to attach it then, or like affix it to the face. Because they'll have to be printed separately, and I'll probably just print them in clear and then use like a smoky paint, excuse me, that I used for like the lenses and the eyes of my Trico statue, so that you can take a clear resin print and make it look like glasses, like sunglass shading. You know, you add more and more paint, and it creates a smokier black transparency, so you add more dark black color to the clarity. My cake day. So are you an artist as well, or what do you do in the land of Twitch? And also, guys, again, I know we're going to be wrapping up here soon. pretty soon because anyway, someone else at 5. But I had another great session with the students. So if anyone's interested in learning ZBrush and would like to have some private tutoring, mentorship, I am doing that now, and it's been going great. I think some of the results, I'm proud to say, speak for themselves. As far as my one student Tyler he came back around for another session, another 2-hour session yesterday, and we had a great time. Figured a lot of things out for him. He's really moving along in human anatomy, and he wants to do. He's working on a Claymore character. I think Claire Claymore. I'm not familiar with the anime, but I mean, he kind of gave me a quick little rundown. But anyway, so we were figuring out, helping him do a realistic version of that character, so that's cool. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in any private lessons, sessions, tutoring, whatever, or group classes, let me know. Claire's the main character. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but apparently he says it's good. But yeah, if you guys ever want to chat about that, send me a DM on Instagram. It's at Daniel Lion Arts, all one word, or email. You got my email just above there, but just in case anyone's just joining and they don't see it, it's daniel@lion-arts.com. Feel free to let me know. So yeah, it's starting to feel good. It's starting to look like it's in about the right placement. Let's see here. Then you got the bridge is very small. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to sculpt that into like that, and the temples. I'm gonna have to extrude those out from the head. And I'm gonna extrude them out, but I'm also still a debate. It's like I might have them come out from the head and actually cut a hole so that they'll be sticking out like this from the head, almost like little antennae. So they won't be pressed right up against the temples, but they'll be sticking out a little bit, so there's that gap in between space. And then the lens will have to match up with them perfectly, and then I could just glue them together, I guess, or laser weld them, resin weld them. That'll be the idea. So that there can be that distance between the head and not have like just this like glob of skin or metal like coming in or out of the head. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that'll look kind of weird. That's probably what you have to do, either that or have them be much thicker. Like, if you look up the Hot Toys version of this on the internet, I've seen a bunch of pictures of it, and the sculpture of the face is really well done. Like, the sculptures on the faces and likenesses of Hot Toys characters are always amazing. They always look great. They look like a miniature version of the person, pretty much. But the glasses on the Neo Hot Toys model is what ruins it. It's unfortunate. They almost look like goggles because the temples are so thick, and the circles they don't feel like they match the glasses perfectly. They just look like big, thick, chunky ovals that just sort of like go in his face, and it kind of ruins the whole thing. Sadly, it looks better without them. So I'm going to try to avoid that mistake by making sure that these look accurate to the film lenses, so then they sit well in the face and they complete the whole look. Exodus is saying the manga was good, the anime looked beautiful, but near the end they just steamrolled things. That's too bad. Joey, I don't usually paint a lot of my stuff. I'm not really a painter. I can paint, but it takes me a lot longer than other people because I'm just not an expert painter. I'm getting better, of course, because like anything, you do it more, you get better with time. But for this one, I don't really plan to paint it. I think the most painting I'll do is simply the glasses, and then I'll probably print the hair separately. So, and I'll paint the temples of the sunglasses and the bridge, I guess. So I'll be very delicate with a really fine paintbrush. But that'll probably be it. So then it'll be a gray model with black hair, and maybe I'm debating how much I should have. Maybe all gray, and then just the glasses will be black. I don't know. I'm really debating if I should. Maybe I'll do one version this is all gray, and then another version that will be mixture of different different resins, because I could easily do a lot of the stuff that's in black resin, and that will look great. Um, but yeah, I have to think about it. I think a solid gray one would first be the real goal, right? Everything's just solid gray, and then one that has multiple materials. So I could do like black hair, black lenses, or like clear and just paint them black, like the transparent black color. And then a black, black almost everything else, like his whole regalia is black. And I guess the guards garb is also black, right? No, yes. I mean, it's like a dark navy blue, maybe, right? I guess that's what it is. Yeah, it's like a dark blue. So like, whatever, I can make that black or I can make that gray, and then whatever. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Um, what do you do with these printed models? You have your own production studio of the character you make. Uh, my own production studio? No, I don't. I wish. I mean, that'd be nice, but you have to get all the licenses and all that other stuff, and then you have to get manufacturing. And no, I mean, usually I make this stuff just for myself or like portfolio pieces. It's not a showpiece. It's just to show people what I could do. And then, of course, companies will contact me and hire me to do different things for them, or people in the movie industry will contact me to make like statues for them privately or maquettes or whatever. So it's just for fun, really. It's also good practice, but it's just for me. It's something that I've had in the back of my head for a long time. I've had this piece done in the back of my mind for a long time, and I just needed to get it out. So this is sort of an excuse just to keep it going, get it out there. So yeah, I gotta just keep pushing it forward. I should probably work on it more when I'm not streaming, just so I move it forward faster. But I like to show you guys also a lot of the progress and the process. So speaking of which, I should get going here, but let me just mirror over the other lens here quick and see how this looks once it's done quick saving. There we go. All right. Would I ever reach out for licensing? Not really. I mean, I've talked with some guys like in the past to Universal about the Raptors that I made and whatever. But they're always like they never want to give licensing to. I mean, I haven't met anybody nice enough to say we'll give you a license, and everything you sell, then you just give us a cut. That'd be awesome because then I could brand it. I could actually use the name brands on the Raptors and whatever else I make. But I haven't really bugged anybody, I guess, because I've heard so many people just dissuade me from doing it because they say that usually for any company to license you, there's a huge fee just to have the license, just to be able, because they can, right? It's kind of greedy. It's really greedy, actually. But it would be nice if they wouldn't charge a licensing fee just to have the license, and instead say you're granted the license and you pay us a percentage of everything you sell. The thing is, they're not interested in that so much because they don't. I think it's a dual-edged sword. Like they don't want double-edged sword. They don't want lowly, no-name people misrepresenting their brand by producing bad quality or being poor on delivery. You know what I mean? So there's that. And they have certain licensees that they trust and they know that can produce that volume. And so I think there's just a lot of that. So it's both like insurance and insulation for them, protection for their brands, for keeping a certain bar of quality for whatever tier of different products they make. And yeah, and the other side, it's just a moneymaker. It's like, you want this brand? Well, you got to pay for it just to sell it. But for someone like me who doesn't have tons of money at all, it's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like you'd have to spend hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or millions, depending on what brand it is and what their fees are, just to have the license, to then be able to put the stamp of the brand on it, to then be able to sell something where then you have to give X amount of percentage or X amount of dollars per whatever product to, Warner Brothers or whatever. I guess it would be Warner Brothers that owns the Matrix, right? Or Village Roadshow. I'm not sure who exactly would get the money, but side a check to whoever for every sale you make. And so that's just it's a carry. It's just a mess. It's just unfortunate. Because I know my work is of the caliber, because I've worked for all these other companies in the past and for films. Like I know my work is more than good enough. It's actually better than a lot of the stuff that sadly gets produced. But I'm just one person, so and I don't really have any aspirations to try to create a company that would compete with the likes of Prime One or Iron Studios. Because I don't really want to. I don't know. I don't want to get involved in all that. Really. I mean, because then it's the thing. You have to hire more people to help you with it, and I'm the person sculpting, so it would all have to come from me. And I probably could outsource work like for ancillary things like props, or like the coat or like other things. But for like the main, characters and things, I'd want to be doing it. And it would just, I don't know. It's just all about volume too. That's the other thing. So I mean, it'd be interesting if it wasn't that hard. If it wasn't so, not just hard, but I mean, it's just a commitment. You know what I mean? And it's a lot. I mean, you're starting a whole new venture, a whole new company. I mean, I know I have the quality, but the rest of the ambition to want to be a business owner in that capacity, it's not it's not my cup of tea, I guess. So anyway, that's my long answer. Sorry. um. Anyway, yeah, we're almost at 4:30, so I should bounce here. But yeah, let me see here. Let's duplicate this quick, and then mirror over. Blam. And you can see how it's asymmetrical, but it's almost there from the get-go. So this will just need a little. Let's see here. Let's go down a little bit, and move this like that. And this will go over. And then rotate slightly and push back in. Turn off the face and the hair for a minute. I think that's about right. So I was missing the bridge and the temples, of course, but I mean, I think the placement's good. I'm going to have to extrude them then into the head. So it'll only look awkward if you really look at it from certain angles. But even then, maybe I'll be able to remove some material and still, I don't know, still figure out how to really nail it. It actually still needs to come out a little bit. There we go. There we go. So that's rudimentary, right? It's not at all final, but it gives us a little bit of a feel. And I think if I just darken these guys, so if I pick that and then do fill, oh, whoops, wrong one's derp. Fill and fill. Go back. There we go. So now, actual. Still feels like they're a little big. Maybe I have to like bring them down just a notch. But they look right. It could be the angle. I mean, the curvature of them too, because they're not flat enough yet. Like they're kind of like bulbous. I need to like do a simple quick fix here would be doing this because they are, nearly flat on their surface. So that's better. It's still not perfect. We got to touch that up, but again, rudimentary, quick start. It's, alrighty. So anyway, there we go. Yeah, I'm getting a reminder. Yeah, we got another streamer coming up here. So I should hop off. Anyway, so we're getting there. Still some work to be done, but we're getting there. What I should really do is almost take a plane or circular. I should probably go back and redo them, but take like a circular plane and then conform it to the shape and then extrude within from that so that it has a perfectly clean, rounded, because it's mostly round this way, but I think they're also kind of curved slightly this way. There's sort of like if you took a whole sphere and like chopped out a part of a sphere, it's sort of what it's like, but it's like a large curvature. So there's a very slight curve on the y-axis, but much more on the x, of course. So anyway, we're getting there. I kind of feel like they look better the other way, actually. It's funny. I mean, they both look wrong. Different reasons they look wrong. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we're getting there. Moving along. Yeah. A bit more refinement, and we'll be there. But good placeholders for now. Anyhow, any last questions before we call it for today? You're welcome for the stream. Thank you. Yeah, it sounds expensive. It is, yeah. I think artists should stream their ZBrush work. Thinking about it for a minute. Do I think artists should stream their ZBrush work? I'm not sure what you mean, though. I mean, like what I'm doing now, or do you mean what exactly? Exodus. Take care. See you next time. Thanks, Comics Legend. Same to you. Hope you stay well. Exodus, can you answer quickly what you mean? Is there anything in particular? What kind of work though? I mean, any work you mean, or like what? Like the process you mean of what I'm doing now? I mean, should they? I mean, it's a personal decision, I guess. I don't know. Like streaming their projects on like Twitch or something. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I think sure, if you want to do it, why not? I know I know a bunch of other artists who stream that aren't streaming through Pixologic, but they just do it on their own and people tune in. I mean, you probably don't get the same volume of people necessarily because you're not with such a big brand. Oh, by the way, please give this video a thumbs up because we've always trying to get some more positive feedback for the videos, and Pixologic was asking if you guys like the videos, please give it a thumbs up. If you have a question in the future, you're watching this in the future, please leave a question in the comments as well, and we'll see it and get back to you. So yeah. But yeah, Exodus, yeah. I mean, basically, I think if people have interesting projects or they just want to be able to dialogue with some people and have some sort of socialization, I mean, yeah, why not? Go for it. Especially if you have something positive to say, or things that are enjoyable. Joe, yeah. Thanks, Dan. So you will stream every Sunday again, or I go back and forth. So I think next week's Tuesday. I have to check the schedule. It's either Tuesday or Sunday. I was bounced between them, so I alternate. Either do like, I think it's like every 2 weeks, but I think they flipped me this time again. So it's like Sunday, Tuesday, Sunday, Tuesday. So I think next week will be Tuesday. So not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. But if I do anything before then, I'll post something about it either a couple days before or the day of on Instagram. So, just give me a follow there. You can keep up to date. Will I be streaming on my own channel at some point? Yeah, I really should. And I probably will sooner than later. I need to. I just need to stream more in general and do more live stuff. I have a couple friends of mine who have pretty good social media channels, and they're telling me to do that, so I should. Um, yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I should. I just need to force myself to, I guess. You know, I've always been so resistant to being more present on social media, and I've always had I don't know, an irritation toward it. I don't know. That's why I don't post a lot even on Instagram, because I'm always like, thinking maybe people don't really care to see some of this or whatever. But then my friends are always like, yes, they would like to see this because not everybody lives here in LA. Not everyone lives at the beach. Like, to post more good stuff. So I just need to do that more, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, I will. And I'll definitely notify. I'll use Instagram as a way to say, hey, I'm going to be streaming at this time on this day. Usually like a day or two before, at the earliest. The latest would be like today, where I posted like a half hour before I started streaming, just because I'm not. Sometimes I'm just not. I'm busy with other things, or I'm more focused, and then I'm like, oh yeah, shoot, I should promote it. So anyway, you do your own streamings way or too. Why not to do it too? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, guys. If you're doing work in ZBrush and you're not embarrassed by it, I mean, you're proud of what you're doing, you know where you're going with it, and it's going to be good. Yeah, stream it. Why not? Even if you're not sure it's going to be good, if you want more help, it's a great way to crowdsource help and information, right? If you have more people watching you, and if they're familiar with the software, they can often help you out too. So it's kind of a win-win. Anyway, all right, guys, I should go, and you have a new streamer coming on in less than 30 minutes. So, all right, everybody, take care, stay well. Talk to you later.